Hey guys, welcome. You are watching Trinity Force Live. We are on episode number 22. We are 1 year over being able to drink, and this week I am joined by, well, 3/4 of the regular crew. I am SK Ponophobia. I am your host for this Trinity Force podcast, and of course, the Mathlander, Der Auslander, is with me.
What's up, everyone?
We just come back from a crushing defeat as he's trying to sit over here to decide what he should have taken against Singed.
Yeah, I probably should have gone Teemo. That was my first reaction, and I didn't do it.
Channel it in a Ranhert, who is not here this week. Instead, Optimus Tom is taking his spot.
Once again, I am substitute Ranhert.
You are the Ranhert everybody loves.
I guess it only works because we both play middle.
I thought you played top.
I play everywhere.
Are you eating something, Tom?
Hey, stop eating for
not at all.
For the love of God, Tom!
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no food in my mouth.
Anyway, and of course we have Hornet AJC to fill out the last chair.
Yeah, support Tom's going to be a little difficult. I don't know about this. I got to question this going on, especially when he's got a mouthful of something.
Didn't you do support Tom last week?
Yeah, and I won, but I'm telling you, when support Tom's got a mouthful, I'm not sure what champion's going to come out of that mouth.
Oh, just wait. There's more than a mouthful for support Tom later tonight.
Oh,
more than a mouthful.
I have so much stuff set up for support Ranhert, and he just doesn't show up. The dude, he's got beaver fever, man.
Beaver fever. That's what happens when you go to Disney World. You get sucked in. I don't know what happened to him. I'm afraid of him coming back from Disney World and what disease he brought home. I'm not going to go visit him anytime soon, I don't think.
Well, apparently his kid is sick. His wife can't even eat, and he was crying today to me on IM, and I just said, you know what? Take that attitude and go to sleep.
He just went on It's a Small World one too many times and got stuck in his head.
I think it was the teacups. He tried to spin them, and it's just a little too much for him.
Hey, I could vouch for that. I actually did make one of my friends sick by doing that.
But what'd you do? Sit in the teacups
Was
and just
alcohol
spin
involved?
No, surprisingly.
No!
Oh, that would have been better. I gotta do that next time.
Well, apparently in Epcot, dude, you can there's a beer tour, and you can go to Germany and China and Russia, and you get a beer at each place.
Yeah, that sucks. I hate to tell you, but it's pretty bad.
Was it? Did you go?
I've done it, yes. It's pretty bad.
Oh, I heard so much. I heard people saying it was a good, fun time because you just got to go drink beer.
Well, maybe that's just because I've actually had better beers than what they offer. Maybe that's part of the deal.
Oh, that's upsetting.
They do have the world tour of food that you can eat, and there's different beers at each location, but yeah. I won't be trying their beers anymore because I can get better beer at local places, I'm telling you.
So you guys watched the bumper in the beginning of this, and for those who are listening the next day, I just played the ggClassic bumper, which is a $5,000 tournament that concludes this weekend. And Tom and I will be starting it off on Friday with Curse Gaming versus Just Your Average shows on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Eastern Standard Time.
I actually have a little announcement. We might not be casting Curse.
Oh, really? Wow, what's going on here?
We might be switching to the dbGaming. You guys may have heard their name thrown around before due to Optimus Tom's Battle Arena. They have made it to the round of 16 of the ggClassic, our homeboys in dbGaming. They have to take on a match that was postponed from last week against the newly reformed Epic Gamer. And I may or may not have set this up just so I could say Claky D got bodied.
So we're going to be casting... Wait. We're going to be casting Epic and dbGaming and not Curse and Just Your Average Joes?
Well, what happened was Nat Nguyen was talking to Baidoku, the two captains of both Epic Gamer and dbGaming for this tournament, respectively, and they were saying they wanted to reschedule it for Friday. And I said, well, if we're having it for Friday anyway, why don't we cast the team that we've cast this entire time in Battle Arena and see if they can make it? And Monte Cristo said that wouldn't be a bad idea. Just make sure they could do it for Friday, and we haven't heard back from Nat Nguyen yet. So.
Well, hopefully they do it at 10 o'clock or something, so that we can cast both of them. I'll just sit here all night and cast it all. So, Baidoku, if you can, I know you're listening right now, make it for 10 o'clock on Friday. So,
please.
Yes, please. And it continues all through that weekend. We actually will be casting on Saturday at 6 p.m. and also on Sunday at 8 p.m., is it, or 6 p.m.?
I don't know. We're casting the third and fourth place match on Sunday, whatever that is.
Right. So, yeah, we're casting all weekend. So, guys, we had 20,000 people at one time watching the stream, if not a little more. And what was it, 190,000 unique hits?
195,000 total views, 20,000 viewers simultaneously, and 80,000 unique viewers all got to hear our velvety voices. Except for Ponophobia's because his internet didn't work.
Oh my god, I was
That's
so
probably why he had so many viewers.
I knew that. I knew he would chime in.
Hammer. I'm in.
Oh, that was the worst. I came home. I'm texting Tom. I'm getting home. And my laptop wasn't working because I had to apparently I had to update League just a little bit, like a little mini patch or something came in on the laptop. So I started downloading it, and it's not downloading. I'm just getting so fucking frustrated. I'm restarting my router, everything. I throw together my computer, which is in pieces, the fastest I've ever put together a desktop computer in my life, like 5 minutes. Just threw all the fucking pieces in there, made sure it worked. I sit down, and nothing is coming up. Eventually, I run a speed test. I'm getting 0.5 megabytes down. Oh my god! And I called my cable company, and the dude goes, "Oh, okay, I know you're trying to do this League thing. Trust me. What would he say to me? He goes, "Oh yeah, Zerg Rush means a lot more to me than most people." So I was like, all right, I think I got myself in good hands. But he can't do anything to me. He's like, "Oh, sorry, dude, I just can't do anything. We just have an outage." I'm like, "You son of..." I was about ready to jump through to drive my ass to New Jersey just to be able to cast.
The best part of this story is the part where I'm getting a phone call from Ponophobia, and I'm about to say something really, really witty and really, really mean when I answer the phone because he's late, but I bite it back and I'm like, "Hello there." I bite my tongue, and I'm really glad because it was his girlfriend calling as he's furiously putting together his computer. I was like, "Oh, phew, I just saved myself from that one."
She would have laughed. She would have laughed at you and gone, "Well, I'm not Adam, but..." So, yeah, guys, watch that this weekend. I have to do one thing. I know I have a whole bunch of people sitting in chat waiting for this, and I actually think I'm gonna actually wait till the end. I'm gonna make you guys sit through the entire Trinity Force podcast before I announce the winner.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Here we go.
No.
All right, moving on to the next topic. So last week I talked about L2PlayLOL.com, and I actually had the URL wrong, and I just wanted to change that. It's L2PLOL.com.
Yeah, you actually sent me to a phishing website. They took over my stream and hacked me. It was really not good.
Maybe that's why you're at 1268 Elo. Ooh.
No. You know what?
Face!
Actually, I'm making a positive out of a negative. You see, I had a lot of trolls when I started playing ranked. I was 1348, and then I lost like 50 straight matches, so that wasn't fun. But I'm actually turning it around. I'm recording every single game I play. I'm going to be uploading it as an informative and hilarious little show called Optimus, Tom, and ELO Hell. It's going to be on my YouTube channel, Optimus Tom TV. You guys should check it out. It's a lot of fun.
I told Tom...
In other words, you got bodied.
Yeah, I got bodied.
We need more Street Fighter lingo in this podcast. We really don't have enough.
Yeah, make sure you get a lot of...
Right.
We do every week.
Anytime Claky D hits like Lee Sin's Q, say he hit confirms into his Q.
Yes.
Frame traps him against the wall.
And then he ultimates. Using his ultimate, he combos an ultimate. FADC.
Mix up knocking him backwards.
Well, I gotta say, throw is becoming a common LOL term, so, you know, you're gonna start tech throwing and make sure that everything's okay.
When Sever pops up her shield, she just tech through the Graves Q from the bottom lane.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That works.
Thank God there's
Parry.
Oh, parry. We're taking it over to the third strike, are we?
Yeah, well, Fiora's got a parry, so that's right in. Maybe someone will play her.
Yeah, her ultimate is like a real ultimate you'd find, too. Isn't that interesting?
Except for there's no quarter circles.
Across the screen 40 gazillion times?
Right? Except there's no quarter circles or full rounds or whatever. And I just like to say on front of 50-something people that I body the hell out of Auslander every time we play.
Right. You are so lucky I couldn't cast that best of who gives a crap how many games.
We only played 6, and I got bodied every game.
Yeah, it was going to be like 78 games probably, or at least 78. And yeah, it was up like, I guess, yes, I won the first 6 characters, or maybe 7, and then he made up some excuse about having to spend time with his girlfriend. And then I see him tweeting later that, I'm working on my computer trying to overclock it. That was like 10 minutes later. He just pretty much ran away.
Oh my god, bullshit.
And I would have just played it out. Like, even if I wasn't really having fun, honestly, like, that game is kind of, the ship has sailed for me on that one.
Right.
But I would have just struggled through all 78 matches just to make him, just to force me to go through. Yeah.
I would have won the Bison matchup. At least I had 1 out of 70-something.
All right, we're running that after this. There's no way in hell you beat me with Bison. I beat you with Seth. I don't even think I've ever used Seth.
I haven't played Street Fighter in how many years? You have like 3 years of Street Fighter on me, and I've only played it for like 6 months total.
3 years.
Did he say 6 months?
Yes.
How long ago was that Columbus tournament? Tell me also that you met him at?
What, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2000. It was October 2010. So.
If you ever wondered if Ponophobia was full of shit every once in a while, now you know.
I do have brown eyes. So perfectly fitting. So as much as I love to talk Street Fighter, I don't. So we're gonna move on to some more League talk. Last week we had the person who owns L2PLOL.com. I keep wanting to say like learn to play, but I don't want people to be able to go to it. His name is Hawait, and he posted a question on Reddit that got a lot of upvotes. And the question was, how likely are you to win after getting first blood? He actually went through a bunch of tournaments. I think his first sample size was only 40 games. After that, it looks like he's updated it, but I don't see in the thread what he has updated it to. However, he goes and talks about, who gets first blood, how likely they are to win, and what they do from there. Excuse me. His results after going through, I want to say 40 games, I'm not sure if he updated it again, was teams that get first blood go on to win the match 64% of the time. Teams that get first blood against the top lane enemy champion go on to win 88% of the time. And anecdotally, the dragon located his excellent location to force a team fight in your favor and get first blood. So what do you guys think about those findings?
I think that they didn't take any Ranhert games because it went 100% win rate if you got first blood on the middle.
No, it's 100% Ranhert dying within 10 minutes after getting first blood in the middle.
Wait, did they take a sample size of how many of those first bloods were tower dives?
No, because none of them were Ranhert games, so no one actually tower dove.
I'm not convinced then. Statistics need to be proven.
Mathlander, I need you to run the numbers.
Yeah, I'll get on that.
Let me seriously say this, though. Top lane is usually the lane that gets farmed the most out of any lane individually. Middle's roaming around. They're, a lot of times they're in charge of more than just their lane. Top lane is kind of isolated, so it can make sense that if you give them a farming advantage on top lane, it can snowball, because once you have the advantage, then, it's a lot of times it's melee champions that push each other from getting CS once one has the advantage. So it kind of makes sense if you think of it in that type of way. I'm not sure I can buy it that it's that high a percentage. I would guess more, it's probably closer to 70% after you put, a lot more games involved. But I could see how the snowball effect on top lane can affect more than anything else.
I'm sorry. What I really want to see is that 88% of how many people won that after getting first blood in the top lane, how many of those top laners ran teleport and took that advantage into team fights a lot easier?
Sure. After getting the first blood, now be able to go to Dragon and walk back up there because their lane is pushed out.
Definitely. I think that would have been a huge factor, especially people who had teleport and got first blood versus people who didn't have teleport and wound up dying. That's probably a huge, huge factor in it.
And see, but one other thing I want to remark about is it says there's no effect on bottom lane. That's kind of hard for me to believe, although, I would also depend on what kind of ELO he's playing at these games, because if you push bot lane or at least you get one kill, there's a very good chance you turn that into a dragon. And I would care to bet that in high matches, big money matches like what are on, the ggClassic and some IEM events, I bet bot lane actually would turn into a bigger snowball advantage because of the link to dragon if you gank bottom.
I guess it depends at what time you want to talk about it then, because if a kill comes within like the first 5 minutes on bottom lane, there's no dragon advantage. Now bottom lane just has I want to say 10, 15 CS advantage over his opponent, and if they can stay, together, then there's no advantage for dragon.
Curse took a dragon at 4 minutes at the last IEM, so don't say there isn't an advantage.
How often does that happen, though? I mean, that was 1 out of 1,000 games, really.
I'm not saying it always happens, but the thing is I could see that where if you give the advantage of CS early, then they can continue that, push the lane, and even when they come back, they're going to come back stronger from the kill, especially if the kill's in the AD carry, and be able to, as a sequential advantage, to then go into dragon. I think if you give the advantage to the AD carry bot lane and then they can push the lane later, I think it can work out. Now, obviously, it depends on matchups to a certain extent, but I still think that can have an effect, especially when first blood sometimes doesn't come till 10 or 12 minutes into the game.
I really look at it as the AD carry doesn't. I mean, the AD carry does have a giant impact on it, but top lane is just so versatile when it comes to these ganks that obviously it's going to have the bigger impact. You were correct that it's ganking a bottom lane can and will have an impact in the game, but I think focusing more of your attention on counter jungling mid and top is going to do more for the game than let's say bottom lane, because if you can force your bottom lane to push out the two people back to the tower and middle is dead, that gives you another advantage for taking the dragon, because your middle AP guy is going to do a little bit more damage than your AD carry earlier into the game, because your AD carry is not going to have any like armor pen, assuming they're not running armor pen runes.
Yeah, like I said, I think because it's melee, I think melee makes a difference. I really do. I think that actually, it's usually melee characters top, and if one melee character has an advantage of the other, they can seriously just peck at them, force them out of lane because they can't stay in to get their CS, and then force them to the tower, which makes them lose CS, as a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. So I could see it happening.
Anyone else have any yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a prime example of how much, going back to the bottom lane really quick, how much I think the bottom lane actually can influence the game, especially in, not the top tier ELOs, but like mid-range, even lower. There's a game I was watching where there's a Tristana and an Alistar on a bottom lane, and then the opposing team was like a Soraka and an Ezreal. And naturally, you would be like, oh, well, Tristana and Alistar seem to have a little bit better CS together, or a little bit better like a cohesion than anything else going on compared to like Ezreal and Soraka, because you do heal them up with mana and give them an armor buff. That's about it. The enemy team, the purple team went in with Tristana and Alistar at level 2. Alistar did not use his exhaust at the proper time and wound up feeding first blood to Ezreal. The bottom lane then sequentially fed 4 straight kills because Ezreal had that much advantage over Tristana.
Right.
It was just a snowball effect in the bottom lane that I don't think some people take into account a lot, especially in higher level matches, because the bottom lanes will then know, like, okay, if I just stay back in CS, and if, we play it safe, and I can last it against my tower, but those are things that, like, pros will take for granted. So, if these matches are a little bit lower ELO than straight pro games, like, I don't know if he sat there and analyzed 40 games from IEM, or sat there and watched 40 games that he got replays from random people. But I think that bottom lane, especially when you get to like the not top tier ELOs, like if you're fighting around like the 1600 range, that bottom lane really still does make a huge difference. Because if it goes in favor of one person, they can like zone you out against your tower. If you can't last it against the tower, that is no CS for your range carry, and then they could just wind up diving you, especially with jungler support.
No, completely, totally right there. Really looking through this and talking about the AD carry, it opens your eyes to how much the bottom lane can influence overall. You don't see a lot of junglers come down to the bottom lane because one lane hasn't pushed back or forth. And I'm wondering what would happen if you contested the jungler more often than not. Because this one says ganks against another jungler have the least impact to win. Now, I really think that taking a jungler out at level 1 on his blue buff is going to have a giant impact, because now you put one person behind and he has to spend his time farming if you can't gank, depending on which jungler it is.
Unless your name is St. Vicious in the ggClassic, which I actually got a good chance to cast a CLG game the previous weekend, where he was level 2 Udyr. He had just taken his blue buff. The enemy team knew he was going to counter jungle because they counter jungled his red. At the beginning of the game, they placed a ward at their own rates. They counter jungled St. Vicious's red. St. Vicious moved over to his blue, took his blue buff, and then went straight after blue buff to the enemy red buff. They saw him on the ward. The jungler came over from St. Vicious's jungle up around by wolves, came over and hid in that bush. St. Vicious tried to take the red buff. Their top lane motioned downwards. St. Vicious noted that the top lane moved away from red buff, ran into the jungler, middle lane came up, and they sandwiched him in 3. They killed him at level 2. They took his blue buff, and Udyr was stuck in the jungle without it. St. Vicious then went on to outlevel the enemy jungler by 5 levels and completely dominate the game.
Well, when you put it that way, I mean,
yeah.
Well, let me say this. It also, there is an extent to which jungler it is that you're counter jungling. For example, Amumu. If you deny Amumu blue in the beginning, their farm is going to take forever. It may take forever and a day for them to actually catch up in levels, because he just doesn't have the mana sustain in early levels to actually go through and clear the jungle very fast. Udyr can still clear the jungle pretty fast. even without blue buff. He doesn't exactly need it to clear the jungle. So it's a good example of, you can actually get the farm needed. Whereas like an Amumu or, maybe even a Fiddlesticks may not survive long enough or be able to clear the jungle fast enough where them getting countered actually makes sense. So I could see that. I think punishing St. Vicious in that point is a good idea, because not only do you get first blood, but you also can I guess they kind of expected it, maybe having scrimmed against them before, maybe having seen it in other matches. But it's I don't know who the jungler was that went against him, but Udyr is still a fast-clearing jungle and can still fast-clear creeps no matter what. Phoenix Stance is ridiculous at that. So
absolutely.
I think it depends on which one, maybe it depends on which jungler we're talking about here.
I think the big ones will be like the blue-dependent, mana-dependent junglers, like you said, Amumu or Fiddlesticks. Those are the ones that you have to either have to counter or, even Rammus to an extent can be blue dependent. After a couple levels he doesn't need it, but I watched what was the game? It was a TSM game when they sent 3 people over to the blue buff and they stopped Rammus from getting it for a whole 4 or 5 minutes total, and he was stuck at level 1 while Shyvana ran around the jungle at level 4 or 5. So just stopping a jungler there can have a huge impact on the game.
I think we're starting to see a meta change where junglers need to be able to clear faster because of jungle respawns, because of the change in the jungle, making them, fast clearing. No matter how fast Udyr runs through a jungle, there's always going to be creeps up that he can clear. So it's kind of the way it works now is you can't have a slow clearing jungle anymore. It just has you fall off too much late in the game, even too much in the mid game, where you're going to be under leveled and you need to keep up. That's why I think we're starting to see more Dr. Mundos, because Dr. Mundo can clear fast. It's not that he has great ganking potential or anything to that effect. It's that he has great sustain and he clears fast and he can play tank mode if need be.
So do you think the shift is going to be more tanky, quick clearers that aren't really jungling? How they're just there to be in team fights later?
I believe so. I think you don't see too many junglers. Shyvana may be the only exception that I can think of this, where Shyvana clears fast and is a load of DPS. Most of it is utility. A Maokai. We were just referring to Udyr. A couple others are escaping me. Lee Sin, I know, because of utility, because of in and out, because of being able to clear. I think clearing makes more difference than anything else because they're able to level as fast as everybody else.
I would definitely agree with that point, and that's probably why we've seen Udyr be a really powerful jungler before, and even still maintain that powerful jungle stance now, as opposed to other junglers like Rammus we've seen fall off. He's still a solo queue ban because if you don't know how to deal with him at lower ELOs or how to deal with him in a team mechanic, he can be really, really annoying. That's why we've seen, all these older junglers like Amumus and Fiddlesticks and everything have really faded away. Like if you see a jungle Fiddlesticks now, you almost want to Q dodge because you don't think it's worth it anymore. But you see all these, you said Dr. Mundos, you see Lee Sins all the time, and Udyr has really retained his worth because he can clear the jungle fast. He can gank if he needs to because he has the hard CC, or he can counter gank, or he can counter jungle. So he can fulfill every single role. Are there champions that do it better than him? Yes. Are there champions that can do everything that he does? Not necessarily. So I think he's really found this kind of cool little niche that he's fit into that really just lets him kind of progress into the metagame we're seeing now for junglers. And if you take Udyr as the staple point of what a jungler needs to be able to do, you need to do 2 out of the 3 or 4 things that Udyr can do to be considered a really good jungler. And when you take a look at Lee Sin and Shyvana, junglers like that, and compare them to Amumus and Fiddlesticks of the older jungle presence, you kind of see okay, well these champions can't do what Udyr does, these other champions can, and that's kind of the bar where your jungler has to be. I actually kind of think this is why Shaco is still a prominent solo queue ban because he is able to still counter jungle and harass at early levels, even though he falls off hard late game like some of these other junglers do, and his clears might not be the fastest in the world. He's able to fill those other niches that Udyr can do, which is survivability in the jungle. He's able to counter jungle extremely easily and really harass down on the enemy jungler, whether they're ganking or going through their own jungle.
Let me make one point here that it's really starting to believe that all of these junglers we're speaking of have one real thing in common, and that is an AoE type damage that handles all of the creeps within the jungle, that handles any kind of creep patch or any kind of creep camp. The AoE that helps him clear faster, whether it's Dr. Mundo, whether it's Phoenix Udyr, whether it's Riven or whether it's Nautilus or Maokai, they all seem to have an AoE or an ability that damages all the creeps and helps clear faster. I think that's what we're starting to see as a common theme every time. You're not seeing Gangplank in the jungle much anymore. You're not seeing Fiddlesticks anymore. Just as some examples of just not seeing it affect or be able to clear as easily and level as well with everybody else, and they fall off too easily because, in my opinion, there's not enough experience given from the jungle creeps to be able to keep up with everything else if you're going to jungle as a solo target.
And the worst thing about that is if you're playing someone like an Amumu that's dependent on blue and can't jungle very well, or a Fiddlesticks, and you're forced to come out of the jungle to gank, or you want to gank with him, two failed ganks and you're already behind the other jungler, who is now clearing the jungle faster than you are. So you cannot, with these other, like the Shyvana and stuff, you can spend a little bit of time out maybe ganking, because you're going to go back and clear the jungle so quickly that it'll give you time to gank. Or give you time to go to the next camp that's going to spawn in a minute and a half. So really, I believe a lot of these, you see a lot of ganks, and they might come from like level 2 and level 6, but in between that, it's just a farm fest.
Yeah, no kidding. And the other thing is you're starting to see a resurgence from Sejuani, who I didn't think was used very often when she first came out, but now I'm actually starting to see her, especially in the European side, where she's starting to get a lot more play, and it makes sense, because she has an AoE, because she clears the creeps fast enough. And like I said, all of these that have AoE, they're kind of more utility champions. They're not expected to do a ton of DPS, but they're expected to be in the forefront, be the tank, and harass as need be. And like I said, the only exception I can think of right now is Shyvana as I look through. I'm wondering if maybe Sion will come back in the jungle a little bit because of having his shield, because it damages entire camps, excuse me.
It still seems slow though, because you have to charge up your shield, let it blow up, and then melee him down, and you have to have AP for the shield to do anything. And if you start falling off by missing any kind of ganks, or you run out of mana, at that point you're very blue dependent. I don't see Sion doing very much, assuming you're playing him AP in the jungle.
Yeah, you know what? I'd probably have to test it. It's something I haven't looked at in a long time, but it's definitely worth looking out to. But isn't it ironic how Riot said they want anybody to really be able to jungle, and yet now we're looking at it and it's limited back to utility DPS AoE type champs?
Yeah, of course. The faster you can jungle.
Right, the faster you can jungle, the better now, because that's the only way you're going to keep up. You can't do solo anymore. You can't do solo target anymore. You need to do AoE type damage. And literally, I think it's down to around 10 champions at this point.
I don't know. I see Jungle Soraka making a comeback.
Yes.
Right. Starfall.
Who was it that played it with Blitzstar bottom lane? And
that
Jungle
was
Soraka?
Choppa in the car, Blitzstar bottom lane, Jungle Soraka. If Soraka didn't tower dive as much as she would have been 4-1, but she towered over like 3 times and was 4-4.
But she has fairly quick clear times, especially once she has blue and has some of that cooldown reduction. You can just spam the Q and chiz damage to all the creeps. A nice E kills it, and then you got a couple auto attacks. Now they fixed the auto attack animation. I mean,
definitely, and Riot buffed her too. They made her Star Call have a lower mana cost at early levels.
Yeah. Wow. You can spam Star Call all day. She just doesn't have ganks. You have to run a team that you're not going to be reliant on ganks for with her. If you want to jungle her. Obviously, not the ideal situation to put her, because you can just put her in bottom lane to sustain.
She's going to run up and silence you? Yeah, I mean, that's
silence ganks OP, man.
Well, really, I mean, they're not the best ganks because you need red, but silence ganks are pretty badass, especially if you have a team that has some kind of CC when you go in.
Yeah, but everybody in every lane is going to have some kind of CC in order to make that work. I mean, you're not going to be able to pick even stuns. I'm not sure will even work. You might have to have just straight slows to make that work as effectively as you'd want it to. I don't know. I could test that. I'd be kind of interested to see how fast you could clear with her if you did it that way.
I want to say Auslander tried it, didn't you, Auslander?
Yeah, she clears pretty quick. But like you said, her ganks are just dog shit. Unless you have like Tarek bottom lane or someone that can just lock up the champ.
She ganks middle lane extremely well because she could silence the caster.
The caster can't teleport away.
I can see that.
But that's about it.
I was going to say, but the other thing is how hard would she fall off late game? I mean, when you see Soraka mid, she builds the tankiest items in the world, and then can sit there and silence and just spam Starfall and just not die. But where does I'd be kind of curious to know where that leads towards the late game if that's how you have to build her.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, there you go.
Triple Woda.
Triple Woda.
Triple
Woda. Okay. Let's have more AP damage.
I don't know. I think you could still build her as like a support-ish one, and then you have a support bottom lane that can also bring utility and damage at the same time. Something like maybe a Nunu or I don't know, maybe a support Ashe. She's got the slow and the arrow for initiates.
Now we're getting into support Optimus time. We shouldn't really foreshadow this.
Oh, here we go.
Or maybe we should. I think I've let people sit around here long enough about who the winner is going to be.
I knew he couldn't last.
I knew it.
Well, we're half an hour in the podcast, and I want to make people listen to at least one of our chats before I told who the winner is going to be. So I'm actually going to put it up on stream right now. So drum roll. Can I get like a GG button or something? That was beautiful. So the winner of our contest is Jake Honey. As you can see on the stream, I put up onto twitran.com. I put in the T-Force podcast. I did a random, and this is the guy who came up. So congratulations, Jake Honey. You are one of our followers. You've been following us for a little while now, actually. And you win $10. I'm gonna DM it to you if you're listening to this. I hope you retweet it and tell all your friends about us. So that's a $10 RP card for all you guys who are following us who have entered. We will have more contests later because I'm gonna make Auslander sell his 3DS and buy like $200 worth of RP for everybody.
Yeah, I'll actually give away my 3DS if you want. Who
am I gonna play Star Fox with?
Well, I'm not going to buy any more games for it, Tom. It was an error, and
oh, come on.
I don't think I've touched it in like 3 months. It probably has half an inch of dust on it.
Whatever.
But, do you have Mario Kart? I'll play Mario Kart with you after.
Oh, we'll play Mario Kart.
You just called Mario Kart? You are from New York, aren't you?
What?
You called it Mario Kart.
What's wrong with Mario Kart?
No, not Mario Kart. You called it Mario Kart. I thought it was funny.
What's a Mario?
Oh my god. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this screen region now, and we're going to move on to our next topic, which is actually a text. If you guys didn't know, you can text us at the number.
You got a text message mid-show, didn't you?
No, I turned over the document, and it says, "In the jungle, the butt."
Who would write something like that?
No, not Optimus Tom, that's for sure.
No, why would Optimus Tom ever mess up your beautiful, beautiful document?
Oh my god. So we had a listener text from a guy named Diggers. He says, "Hey guys, I'm totally new to League of Legends." He's level 21. "Many of my friends play, but are much better than myself, so when I play with them in draft games, I tend to be deciding factor on the outcome. I've been playing support, Soraka, Lulu, Sona, Leona. I was wondering what other role you guys thought would be my next priority for solo queue, so he doesn't end up as that guy with the champions." What does he say? "So I don't end up as that guy. Also, what champions would you recommend starting and learning with keeping my limited IP and RP budget in mind? Also, I have looked for this online." Okay, the rest of it's stuff about it. So
you need to stay in the bottom lane. That's what you need to do. You take the support character. Once you've learned the support character, you learn the AD carry composition of it. As we've seen, we've been saying AD carry, the bot lane, it's a little more influential on the rest of the game than you think it is. But if you don't feel confident in your skills for your team, you want to stay on the bottom lane where you're going to be theoretically the most protected because you have jungle support. Even though you're going to be susceptible to ganks, you are down there with a secondary support character. All you really have to do is focus on getting last hits. And this focusing on getting last hits is going to be an excellent skill that you can then use to transition into the other lanes where it's going to be a little more harass-oriented. And then you'll start to learn, like, do I last hit, do I harass, etc. So you definitely want to stay in the bottom lane, move on to range carry next. Ashe is very, very, very cheap. I believe, who's the free champion?
Tristana's free.
Tristana is free if you like them on Facebook. You get the Riot Girl Tristana skin, and therefore they give you Tristana with it. So she's a very, very easy champion to play with in the beginnings of range carry as well. She's one of those champions that, you can just play in the early stages, and, you might be with her in the early game, but she just scales so hard into the mid and late stages of the game that you could just literally just buy items on her, and her splash damage would deal most of it. You'll get to know when you want to be in and out of fights with the jump and everything too. So really, just you get to focus on your mechanics when you're in the bottom lane.
And more of the bottom lane, the mechanics, it's positioning as well. But one thing I want to say about the bottom lane, do it at your level. Don't go play with your level 30 friends and get sucked into playing. I did that, and I got made fun of for like 2 months at a time when I'm trying to play 3v3 with Auslander, and I'm getting carried. I didn't know how to last hit. I didn't know what it was. Well, it's not really that much different, except for I don't really play with Auslander because I don't really like that guy.
Shocker.
What's Auslander?
Mathlander, of course.
Mathlander. I love that guy.
So, but no, do it at level 21. Don't go on your friends and try to play that AD carry. Do it at your level 21. Get in there. Do the 2-1-2 meta that probably the lower levels do, and pick a carry. Start with Caitlyn. She's got the longest range of them all, and just learn the last hit. For runes, you should be buying runes not your level 20. Go straight attack damage Marks, straight attack damage Quints, armor seals, and magic resist glyphs, and you'll be good to go as an AD carry.
Let me say this: limited RP and IP budget. This basically means that you don't have that much money. You might be as cheap as me, and not put much money into this game to begin with. Let me say this: when you get a chance, number one, make sure you take advantage of your 2 free characters to get. And 2 free characters, I mean Tristana is free if you like League of Legends on Facebook, or is it Alistar that's free on Facebook? I forget. And I think Tristana is free. I thought it was the other way around. But
Alistar's YouTube and Tristana's Facebook.
Like them on YouTube, like them on Facebook. Get Tristana and Alistar for free. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. The next thing is, when you go through, if you're going to try and learn a champion in a different lane, try and pick one that is versatile. And versatile, I mean an Udyr who can be jungle or who can be top. By the way, Udyr teaches you a lot of things about positioning. That's why I love Udyr so much. The positioning of top lane and playing Tiger stance, or the positioning of jungle and playing Udyr stance, or playing Phoenix stance. That's an example of a character that has multiple roles that you can use. It's a very, very useful tip. Another one is Lee Sin. Lee Sin's another one who can be used top, who can be used in the jungle. You can go further. If you want a character that you can play almost everywhere, try Kennen. Kennen can be built as an AD carry. Kennen can be built as an AP mid or an AP top. He has very good movement. He has some very interesting mechanics to use.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing with Kennen is, for somebody who's just learning the game, I wouldn't recommend him, because you need to get used to doing stacks and whatnot. Really, you got to pick the simpler champions.
It's still advanced, but what I'm saying is that if you're forced to, he's talking about going, I believe he talked about being doesn't want to be that guy when he goes into solo queue. So have a champion that you could play, get comfortable with in any role. You might want to be able to pick an AP champion. Ryze can play mid or top. He has the ability to do both. As another example of something you could look for. Just look for champions that you can play in multiple spots, and you'll be able to find them. You'll see them played in all kinds of different roles and different things to do. But that's what I recommend when you get to be that type where you need multiple positions you can get out of 1 or 2 characters.
You know, I think Ash right now is only 450 IP. She'd be a great pickup for someone starting.
So would Rise.
Yes.
So would Rise.
And Rise is also cheap.
Can play mid. Rise can play top. We have some of the pros, Alex Hicks included, from Moscow 5, saying, you know, he loves Rise the most because he thinks he's the most overpowered when he's played right.
Yes.
So, you know.
See champion, kill champion.
Exactly.
See champion, kill champion. See champion, kill minions.
Kami life.
Although I have seen Skara on his stream saying as he's playing Morgana's in the middle that Morgana is quote-unquote baby's first AP carry because she teaches you how to skill shot. You can just farm up by putting down your pool, and that's it. You don't have to worry about landing the skill shot early. You have protection from the person you're going to be facing in lane and from any jungle stuns or anything or slow effects that'll be coming at you by throwing down your black shield. And then you have the ultimate where even if you're not super farmed up and you're not really getting the hang of her, if you pop that in a team fight, you're going to do benefits for your entire team that you really can't do with a lot of other characters. So Morgana, I think, is definitely a choice if you want to pick up the middle. She's a little more expensive for RP. I believe they buffed her price. Like, is she still 1350? They buffed her up to 3150.
Yeah, I believe. I'll double check right now, but I'm pretty sure she's still 1350 IP.
All right, that's fine then. You could definitely pick up Morgana if you want to start checking out the middle lane because she's really, she's really like one of these champions that you could play like if you've never played her before. She's a low risk but high reward if you learn how to play her while you're just kind of starting to learn the middle lane. So definitely like Morgana.
She is only 1350, which is definitely a good choice.
And teaches you to use skill shots, which is one of the biggest things that people need to learn.
Well, I'll tell you another one. If you're going to stay in the bot lane, is Sivir. Sivir also teaches you skill shots
and teaches you mana conservation as well.
Absolutely. So does Ash.
Yeah. Yes, and I think so. The big thing you need to work on right now, Diggler. I want to call him Diggler. I didn't have the document up as I was saying it. Diggers.
Dig, tree out.
Diggers. You should go into you're level 21, level 22. Hey, look, everyone can see the email. And go pick up Caitlyn, pick up Ashe, pick up Sivir, work on mana conservation, and work on last hitting. Pick up those runes that I talked about. Again, that's attack damage reds, attack damage quints, armor seals, and magic resist glyphs. And after a couple weeks, email us back and let us know how it went, and if it's going good for you. If you like a couple characters, let us know, and we'll tell you what you need to pick up. So that about does it for that segment. So you guys got anything else for us for this week?
Besides deciding what Tom is going to
I was hoping Tom would say, yes, I want to do support Optimus Tom, but he dropped the fucking ball.
I didn't drop the ball. I was just letting Hornet's little unenthused attitude just really walk us into this. He doesn't even know what I have planned for support Optimus. When you said, quick, Ranhert's sick, he's got Bieber fever, I need you to do the podcast, and I was like, yes, I got to think of excellent champions for support Ranhert.
So, of course, support Optimus Tom. I need like a theme song I'm going to play. Like every day I want to turn this more into a radio show. When Auslander first told me we want to do this, I was like, no, this is a podcast, not a radio show. But now we need theme music.
Hello,
support Optimus Tom.
Yeah. Auslander, you could put weren't you gonna put a theme music for me together last week?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things I was going to do last week, but I didn't do any of it. Real life gets in the way sometimes.
Man.
And so did defensive driving.
Yeah.
Which he's probably been doing this entire podcast.
Just a little bit, maybe.
So, Tom, why don't you take this segment away, brother?
All right. So, this is the Support Optimus Tom segment. Now, everybody's probably listened to him before. Just in case you haven't, this is where I am going to pick a character to play in the range carry position, the AD carry on the bottom lane, and I'm going to propose the champion. Then I'm going to listen to Hornet and Mathlander's explanation as to what support character they would choose to be in that position, and then I'm going to pick the best one that I find suitable for the role. Now, this is a character that I see being played more and more, not only competitive play, but the solo queues as well. I just think overall the champion really hasn't changed too much. Some people even said he's really taken nerfs to some of his abilities and made them a little less utility, but they still deal so much damage. When you're wailing away with a percentage of true damage and you have magic spells to back it up in the early game, I don't think you could say that this range carry is bad at all. So Optimus Tom is going to pick Corky in the bottom lane. Who are you going to support me with, guys?
Oh, who are you picking first?
Hornet, you spoke first.
All right, I'm going to pick Alistar to support Corki in this case. The reason I like Alistar is because when you have a Corki, you have a lot of range, especially from his ultimate. And Alistar can get out and up front and help with zoning. Now, not only that, but Alistar goes up and locks somebody down. That allows you, once he pops somebody up with his pulverized, that allows the machine gun to just wail away at the target without them being able to do anything. And usually when that happens, that immediately forces a flash because the damage is coming down. Corki is one of the highest damage dealers there is, and when you can have a character locked down right there in front, Alistar is perfect for doing that in any spot along the bottom lane.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Janna just because he does that 10% true damage. Janna's shield will help buff that. Corki usually, well not usually, but most people will build Trinity Force on him, so you'll get that phage slow, which with accompanied with Janna's slow can let you just, slow someone, finish up the kill. And also Janna's great for just getting Corki out of trouble with her R. If he, Valkyrie's away and somehow gets stunned, you can just keep the other team off Corki, let him get away safely. So I think Janna's definitely the way to go there.
I'm going to say something real quick to counter that. Corki has his own getaway.
I said if he uses it and gets stunned again, Janna can save him, and also it's good to break up any kind of initiator, okay?
And her
Any
passive.
kind of time he gets rooted for a second, maybe he's going to be chain stunned by, like say a Maokai and a Tarek. That's what Janna's for. Keep them all away.
You can't forget her passive.
Move speed.
Yes, move speed for everybody.
Yes.
These are both really, really, really good choices. Now, I've seen a lot of Corki and Alistar bottom lanes, and I'm pretty sure that's super, super strong, but I actually like the idea of Janna, just because Janna's been a very, very dominant support character. Not only can Janna help the Corki out in the bottom lane, but when you progress into the later stages of the game, she is a little bit more useful in team fights with that ultimate. Plus, she's going to be able to keep me a little bit more healed up, even though I don't have this sustain heal from Alistar E. They buffed the mana cost on it. Actually raised the mana cost. That's more of a nerf than a buff for Alistar. And Janna's ultimate just heals up a lot more than I think Alistar can. So I'm actually going to have to go with Janna on this one.
1-0.
Ooh, face!
I'm going to say, you're talking about the heal on Janna actually being used. How often is it actually used and not just the push away? I can count on my fingers how many times you actually see it used full time in one game, just as a counter to that thought process.
All right. I'll let you get some redemption, Hornet, because I got an awesome character for this one. All right. So this is setting for the next scenario. Someone let Ranhert buy Kennen.
Well,
So
shit, I did that a while ago.
All right, so Protophobia let Ranhert buy Kennen, and now we're all doomed because he's been seeing a lot of Kennens all over the place, and he's Ranhert, and he thinks that Kennen's going to belong in the middle lane. So now I am forced to play in the bottom lane. I'm going to kick it old school IPL 3 style. And I said, well, he has a Kennen in the middle. He might be able to farm up. He's going to tower dive, so he's going to be behind in farm and behind on kills. We need to help him out any way possible. So I'm going to go in the bottom lane and pick a character that is not only going to be able to help him out by finishing the kills on his champion in mid lane all the way from the bottom when he needs it, because he's going to let them get away and tower dive and die and get ganked or something like that. But I'm also going to be able to help him out in team fights because I'm going to be shredding armor and magic resistance like it's my job. Kicking it old school epic gamer style. I'm going down the bottom lane as Karthus. Who are you guys supporting me with?
Karthus. I guess I'll go. Since we're playing unconventional characters, I'm going to go with Scion. Basically, he's like Tarek on steroids, kind of. He's got the stun. He can do a lot more damage up close. He's got the shield for himself, and then also his R can be used, to help at least gain some life back. But basically, I'm going to build him. I'm going to rush Deathfire Grasp, and we're just going to stun people and nuke them. But that's my plan. Go double AP bottom, support Scion.
So you're thinking more of a kill lane than a straight support for Scion.
Correct.
I am actually going to go with the newest OP character who gets banned all the damn time, and that is Shen. And the reason I'm going to take Shen is not only can you keep somebody locked down with his taunt, but he can also dash in and out, shield Karthus when need be because you know Karthus is going to get targeted, and pick and choose how he can roam in the front while Karthus is completely protected. Shen can taunt at any time, either defensively or offensively, has movement in and out, and is a bothersome to get out of lane because he is so strong now with his health and his armor. I think Shen, plus his ability to teleport, if it needs to be on Karthus, he can, but he also affects the rest of the map.
Ooh. Now, I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed because I was actually looking for a specific answer with this one. I am, however, thinking that Shen is going to be the better choice to support Karthus. The ability to taunt people off of me and taunt them. Like, you can get a stun down with Scion, but the survivability of Shen and the ability to protect Karthus a little bit better. Then on top of that, getting a slow and a taunt and all the AoE damage, and Shen being able to just really help me sustain by throwing a Q down and letting me heal just a little bit, which even though it's a little bit, it's something more than Scion can give me. I'm going to give the fight to Shen in this case, but I was really hoping you guys were going to pick a different support character.
What support character are you looking for, Tom?
I was looking for Soraka, actually, in the bottom lane with Karthus, because not only is she going to be able to give Karthus an armor buff against the enemy AD carry, not only can she silence or heal up Karthus' mana to continue spamming spells, but getting one level of Star Call stacked magic penetration on top of Karthus' Wall's magic penetration for easy kills bottom lane.
Now, you see, I've watched MTW.NA play this Karthus bottom lane, and they actually used Alistar down there with him.
I was going to say, the problem with that is that when somebody locks into a Karthus, his movement is really hard to get a hold of. Obviously, you don't want to fight next to him very often, but if you're going against an Alistar bottom lane, you're in trouble if you're a Karthus, because he can just be locked down. Alistar can reduce the damage that's coming in from, Karthus AoE being put down, and once Karthus is locked down, he doesn't get out of situations very easily. He's more of he's got to stay at range and he's got to be there. He needs somebody up front to be sort of the focal point of any kind of damage, plus being able to pull away. That's why I said Shen. But if you're taking Soraka, I understand the buffs you're getting, but that means Karthus is the character that's in front while Soraka stays back, and that's why I disagree with that.
Oh yeah, I definitely like the Shen choice, thinking about it from that way, because I didn't even think about that. I was just really going for as much damage potential and then team fight potential later on in the game, because you're going to be able to have 3 separate champions shredding magic resistance. But I definitely like the Shen pick, which means I think we're going into the deciding third match now, aren't we?
Uh-oh. Well,
bonus coverage.
Do you have a tiebreaker, Tom?
I do have a tiebreaker. No, it's a tricky one. You're going to have luck on your side to win this match, guys. I think we've run through most of the range carries in this game right now, so I'm actually going to take a character that can be viewed as an ability power or an attack damage champion. Now, since Ranhert is going to be taking the middle lane, I'm assuming that we thought he was going to play top, but then decided to let him play middle because we wanted to win the game anyway. So when I locked in this champion, I originally thought I was going into the middle lane. So after frantically switching my summoner spells and my rune pages and my masteries around to my regular AD carry pages, I'm going to be taking a champion into the lane that you don't normally see that often. Now, the best part about this champion is he's going to come with a built-in crowd control effect. He's going to be dealing bonus damage every couple attacks, and on top of that, I'm going to be able to harass and poke out a lane, kind of like a Graves. But I'm not quite Graves. I'm picking Twisted Fate for the bottom lane. How do you support Twisted Fate?
Okay, so the thing about Twisted Fate is that he has a stun and he has the ability to teleport almost anywhere on the map. Now that creates a couple of things going on. The one thing is that the stun is great both defensively and offensively, and his tricard hits really hard once it's built. That's tough. The one thing I will say is that I like the fact that he would be matched with another stun, and he's another character that I don't think I wanted front. I'm going to want another up-front character, and I'm going to take Leona. The reason I'll take Leona is because Leona can initiate by sticking to somebody and having them planted where they are. And then Twisted Fate can come up with his wild card to stun, and then you hold somebody right there in lane and probably slowed with another ability of Leona's. That holds him in place. That's a great way for Leona can stay in front. Twisted Fate can stay in back. He's going to be able to farm the way he wants to. Again, can come out of the bush at any time. I really like the idea of being able to come up, initiate with Leona, and not having Twisted Fate initiate unless he's actually going to teleport someplace to initiate.
Well, since Twisted Fate has a passive that gives everyone a global, bonus in the extra gold, I'm going to go with Zillion. So we're going to have double passives that help the team. We'll get heightened learning. Everyone will get an extra 8% experience per kill. Zillion, along with Twisted Fate's W, the gold card, will be able to, the gold card will stun them, and then Zillion Z will slow them down. I'll be able to harass the enemy with Zillion's Q. And then also, when you make a foolish play, as I know you will, I'm going to be there to R you and keep you alive. And
first foolish play being locking in Twisted Fate.
Yeah, second is letting me pick Zillion as support. So
first is playing with Ranhert. Second is thinking Ranhert will go anywhere but mid.
Oh shit!
I actually like both of these choices. Now, I'm a little biased in this one because, little known fact, Leona's actually my favorite champion in the entire game. So I don't think I'm qualified to judge this one. Ponophobia, who would you want in the bot lane?
Well, neither of these folks. Not unless they're...
Wow.
That's the guy who plays bot lane. No, I don't want it. Get this shit away. I'm dodging Q.
That's right. Not unless I'm getting an Alistar from an Auslander or a Hornet Janna. I don't want either of them. So, no. I'm going to go with Zillion on this one. I like the Zillion pick because you've got two global passives. You've got the Q to harass, and you allow Twisted Fate to go roam throughout because Zillion can hold the bottom lane if he wants.
Ooh, upset.
Upset? Auslander is the rightful winner of this one.
All right, it wasn't my call.
GG button. I don't even hear like a yeah out of Auslander. He's like, I'm doing my test.
Yeah.
10% off.
10% off.
10% off and 8% more experience, 2 extra gold.
So, I think that'll do it for Trinity Force 22, guys. I hope you had fun this week, Tom.
Oh, I definitely had fun. I always have fun when I come on here, especially when I get to pretend to be Ranhert.
No one can be Ranhert, but you can definitely pretend. So,
alright guys, I'm going to go pick Vigar. I'm going to be in the middle lane. I'm a really squishy champion. I know I shouldn't be doing this, but they only have a Scion in the middle lane, so I'm going to run under tower and get stunned, even though I'm trying to lay down my own stun, and then I'm going to try to get away, and I'm going to flash into the tower instead of back, and then I'm going to blame Hornet's jungle.
Over, under, number of times you say shit as you get ganked.
or sigh.
Or sigh, yes, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to go with 12.
Ow.
The best Ranhert, anyone can do a Ranhert impersonation. You just gotta go, shit, oh, god damn it.
First blood.
So, Oscillator, will you take us out this week?
Sure, if you want to give us a call, it's 203-494-FORCE, 203-493-6723. You can text us at that number, and if it's something interesting and exciting, we'll talk about it on the show. Or you can email us, feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com, or follow us on Twitter, tforcepodcast.
There you go. That'll be it. That's T-Force Podcast 22. We will see you guys on Friday for the ggClassic, Saturday and Sunday, and also next week when hopefully Ranhert is back. So, see you guys.